Hey everybody, JCB here with the Awsomist, and you're watching the Awsomist YouTube channel. So it's that time of year again. Every summer, my beautiful wife and I take a trip to a new Six Flags theme park in a new part of the country. Longtime Awesomites know that Six Flags Magic Mountain was and is a very special place for my wife and I. And as we were planning our wedding back in 2015, we decided it should be Six Flags themed, and that we should go to a new Six Flags theme park for every anniversary. It's really just an excuse to travel across the country at this point. We try to visit like local sites and different like tourist traps and different just locations that are in that specific area, so that not only are we going to the theme park, but we're also experiencing some of the country that we love. So far we have visited, in order, Six Flags Magic Mountain, Discovery Kingdom, Six Flags Over Texas, Fiesta Texas, Six Flags St. Louis, Six Flags Over Georgia, Frontier City, Six Flags Great America, plus California's Great America, Knott's Berry Farm, and Carowinds, which are now part of the Six Flags family. I think that just about covers everything. Of course, there have been other places we've gone to ride roller coasters, places like Santa Cruz, and just there's a whole rabbit hole you can dive into on this YouTube channel if you want to watch all the many videos that I posted about my silly little adventures. Anyway, today we are going east to our nation's capital and Six Flags America. Why Six Flags America and not the parks in New York or Massachusetts or New Jersey? Because we have to do it eventually, and we might as well tackle all those Northeast parks in one trip as sort of a grand finale for our 10th wedding anniversary next year. If we can afford it. I mean, it's a lot of parks and a lot of driving or flying. It's a lot.
I'm here at Ontario International Airport, Ontario, California, not Canada. Heading out toward DFW, where I'm going to meet up with my wife. She had to leave earlier, actually almost a week ago, to help a friend out who is in need. So this will be the first time I get to see her in a week. Very excited. My first stop, Las Vegas International Airport, McCarran International Airport, technically. The only airport I know of that has slot machines inside of it.
Monopoly Mayhem.
Okay. Just landed at DFW. I have to get my luggage and then go back up to the American Airlines terminal to start leg 3 of this journey. It's like 3 hours later, got my luggage, about to go into American Airlines terminal and hopefully see my wife for the first time in a week.
There was this really stupid thing that happened at DFW where the entire plane's worth of luggage was delivered to a baggage claim in a completely different terminal than the one they told us. And because you have to go out through security to get to the baggage claims, we couldn't go back to use the tram. And so this entire airplane worth of people had to use the little shuttle buses that only hold about 12 passengers each to get from one terminal to the other. And then, because I was connecting with my wife to catch another flight on another airline to our final destination, I had to take the little bus again all the way back around the airport to the other terminal. Needless to say, when we finally reconnected, she was a sight for sore, tired eyes.
Reunited and feel so good. About to go on flight number 3 to Washington, D.C. / Baltimore area. Yay! Just got off the last flight here in Reagan National Airport.
So we finally got our rental car, which took a couple of hours, and then we did kind of like a self-tour, just driving through the city of DC, looking at all the cool sights and all the things you always see in movies and TV shows. That was a lot of fun. And then we drove into Baltimore for our hotel room. The next day, we decided to check out some local tourist sites. First up was the home of Edgar Allan Poe, which is now a museum set up in his honor. Tickets were fairly cheap, and it was a fun, if quick, self-guided tour around his home. The tour features these posters that show the titles of poems written while Poe lived in this house. You get to visit all of the rooms of the house, and at the very top is what they believe to be Edgar Allan Poe's room, where he wrote most of his poems. This room is off limits to visitors, but you can climb the stairs and look inside the room from the entryway. And of course, there's a gift shop downstairs. Next, we visited the gravesite of Edgar Allan Poe, which is fairly close by. We spent some time walking around, reading all of the headstones, just enjoying the weather, and then we drove across town to an Edgar Allan Poe statue. Thankfully, this statue is not wax, unlike that Lincoln statue in DC that melted the same weekend that we were in Baltimore. We like to spend an entire day just exploring whatever city we happen to be in and taking in the sights of that area, just the things you can only do when you're in that area. After a quick Google search of things we could do while we're still in Baltimore, I found the Rawlings Conservatory, which made me immediately think about the Mitchell Domes in Milwaukee, which we visited last year. And sure enough, this conservatory also features an entire desert section full of cacti, which my wife is absolutely obsessed with. Is this your favorite part so far? Yeah. A lot of these types we have in our yard. Even that twisty guy, I think. The place is really big and has all kinds of plant life from all over the world. It is a really easy and chill way to kill about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, if you're waiting for something else you have scheduled to do, which is basically where we were at. Next up, we rolled the dice and ended up on the B&O Railroad, which, if that sounds familiar to you, it's because it's part of the original Monopoly board. Of course, there are a bunch of displays of the types of trains that had been through the B&O station in the past. This is a gigantic railroad museum and tour. It's just huge. There's an entire section on like clocks and timekeeping methods that have been used throughout the years. There's a short film that I highly recommend you stop and watch as one of the exhibits. It tells the story of an escaped slave that was trying to make his way to Baltimore by hiding in a shipping crate. I won't spoil anything for you, but I definitely recommend that you watch it. It was fantastic. Not very long. It was just like the perfect length. But I think the big draw of this tour is the giant train garage with the rotating floor that allows different engines to come in and out of that building. There are a few trains in there that you can actually enter and walk through, and there's this just interesting history all throughout that's just uniquely American and racist. But overall, the entire museum is definitely worth visiting if you find yourself in the Baltimore area. At the end, there's this fun little train set that the kids that were on the tour were definitely enjoying pressing the buttons and making the train move. The whole thing we went through in about a half an hour. I want to say we got there about a half hour before the museum was closing, and we did the self-guided tour. We just kind of walked through every exhibit. We didn't spend a lot of time lingering and looking at every model train and every little thing they had set up and reading all the signs and stuff, but we did stop and watch the film. We did read a couple of things about the individual pieces that interested us, and we walked through the entirety of the museum just kind of at a leisurely pace, looking at everything that we found interesting, and we got through it in right about a half an hour, and we had a little bit of time at the end to shop for some souvenirs. So it's definitely worth going. You don't have to spend all day there if you don't want to, but if you know someone or you are someone who absolutely loves trains, everything has to do with the railroad, this is definitely the museum and tour for you. The next morning we got up early and headed over to Bob Evans for breakfast. It was pretty good. You know, nothing to write home about, but it was pretty good. And then, of course, it was time to head over to Six Flags America, the whole point of coming all this way. Today, we're at Six Flags over America. Unlike our typical trips to a theme park, this time we actually got there before the gates opened, which is really unusual for us. We ended up waiting a little bit in line, but then we were right inside the park and started heading our way toward somewhere. We didn't really know where we were going. I did a little bit of research on which rides we wanted to go on while we were there, like what were our must-ride rides, but I had no idea where anything was, so we kind of walked around a little bit looking for how to get to a ride. But eventually we found Wild One, the Wild One. This coaster was first built in 1917 and is considered a historical landmark. I personally thought it was a little rough around the edges. A couple spots kind of hurt, but definitely glad we rode it. We just got off of the Wild One, established 1917. Classic white wood roller coaster. Like so many we've been on before. Exactly what I was expecting. What were your thoughts?
My hips are too wide and I need a tighter sports bra.
I feel like you've said that about other rides. Gotham City. That looks like a Mr. Freeze, but it's probably not. Almost every Six Flags has a Batmobile. This sort of Tim Burton-y model is my favorite. But you're right, yes. Flat tire. The Batmobile lost its wheel. Joker got away.
Oh my god.
Joker's Jinx. This coaster reminded me of a very similar ride at, I believe, Six Flags St. Louis. I want to say it was called Medusa, but I am getting kind of old and I'm forgetting the names of these rides. But very, very similar, and it was a lot of fun as well. So we just got off of Joker's Jinx here at Six Flags America. Spaghetti Bowl coaster with a launch start. Lots of fun. It was kind of mellow after the launch until the end when it gets really intense. And then the very, very end of the brake run. Brake run's the worst part. It made us want to throw up.
No, but it was super smooth.
Yeah.
It wasn't like jerky.
Yeah, it was fun. I liked it.
Yeah.
Would ride again, probably. So, Penguin's river ride thing is shut down today. Sad music was appropriate.
Look at those.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one, woman.
Yeah, it is.
She doesn't have the hips.
That's true. She's got the choker.
Oh,
The choker's kind of Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I mean, I get the sadomasochism aspect to Wonder Woman. Wasn't it all like the guy who made it? Remember, he was talking about like he made it out of like based on like some kind of a kink thing, right? Batwing is sadly closed. Wah, wah, wah. Superman, Ride of Steel. At first I was a bit concerned about this ride as we were in the front row and it seemed very cramped, but this ended up being one of our favorites for sure. So we just got off of Superman, Ride of Steel. Yeah, I had to look at the sign. What'd you think?
It was my favorite.
Yeah, mine too. My favorite so far. Really fun. Yeah.
It's a little tight in the knees. But
Yeah.
when it's going, you don't even notice.
Yeah, and once I started going, I didn't have a problem. But when I first sat down, I was like, oh no, this cart sucks. But yeah, it was fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, it was good.
Super fun.
Lots of fun. Definitely recommend. Best ride so far.
Super fun.
Super fun.
I don't feel like throwing up. We're not going on that.
Yeah, no puke rides today.
I'm too old.
So we only have 3 more rides left to ride because I already forgot their names. One of them was Sidewinder. It's closed. Skywinder. Sorry, Skywinder is closed. Batwing is closed, like you just saw. The one that's like Pandemonium, but I forget it's like Raging Cage or something like that. That was closed. There was another one we were gonna go on.
That water ride.
Oh, the water ride's closed. Yeah. So the water rides we wanted to go on today are just not open. So we only got 3 more left. We're gonna go on Roar. We're gonna go on their version of Roaring Rapids, which I forget what it's called. And then there's another one, but I forget what it's called.
Oh my god, you're normally not that bad.
Yeah. I'm old now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So stay tuned. You'll see the signs. I mean, you know how the videos work. The Penguins, Blizzard River, closed. Good thing it's only like 100 degrees out today. What is it?
I don't know, I have to look at my phone.
Oh, I thought you were looking at the temperature.
No, this
Firebird, a B&M coaster. I'm so excited to go on this. This coaster was originally built in 1990 at Six Flags Great America under the name Iron Wolf when it was a stand-up B&M coaster. But apparently they realized that it's not too great, and so it shouldn't be at Great America. We should just send it over to Six Flags America, where it was renamed to Apocalypse because it hurts so much it feels like you're going to die. Then they revamped it in 2019 and called it whatever it's called now, and it's still terrible. So we just got off of Firebird. Worst ride? Worst ride?
Yeah, burn it down.
Worst ride. So the wild one was rough, but it was old school rickety rough. This is just
Slam your head around.
slam your head around rough. I hate B&M coasters. Like if they have those big ass shoulder things, fuck those rides. Hate all of them.
What?
Terrible.
Yeah, fuck Firebird.
Fuck Firebird. Hashtag fuck Firebird. So at this point, we thought Firebird was going to be the roughest ride at the park, and maybe it is. It's definitely debatable. My point is, at this point in our trip, we were blissfully unaware of what was awaiting us with Roar. Roar! So So this is a wooden roller coaster from 1998 that had an exact replica or clone of it at Discovery Kingdom up until a little while ago when they were smart enough to convert it into an RMC coaster. This is still the original wooden layout of Roar. This is still the original wooden coaster variant, and it is rough as hell. Most wooden coasters are. I didn't quite hate this one as much as Firebird, but my wife sure did.
So that one was a little rough. I mean, it's expected with a wooden coaster. It's a rough ride, but I still feel like
It was so rough my shirt fell off. Literally all the way down, coming off.
That's so funny.
I'm falling out of my seat, holding everything down.
Still rather ride that again than
I'd never ride this again.
rather than the orange one?
I'd never ride either of them.
Okay, that's fair. But if you had to choose.
If I was forced to
Yeah.
choose, I'd ride neither.
I would ride
Sit
Roar.
out. I'd sit out. No, I couldn't do either of them. That hurt so bad.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was excited that the seat was a little bit looser, and then my excitement immediately fell.
With the first drop, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
immediately. It was.
Yeah.
It literally felt like somebody just walked up and went boom into the gut. Horrible. Hated it.
there it is, people. Steamtown. This is the newest addition to the park.
So we have steam
We have Steampunk District.
punk district.
Yeah.
Don't walk over the grate. You're gonna fall in.
I'm gonna fall in.
I don't like it.
So they just put a bunch of new money into this park, part of the park, and I don't know what it looked like before, but it looks nice and clean and brand new.
We decided to pop into one of the stores and take a look at some of the merchandise. It was all very steampunk themed, except for the Fright Fest merchandise, which was already out and for sale, even though we're talking this is the end of June, guys.
So the weird thing is they have all these buildings, but you can't go into any of them. They're all just facades. Except this one, which is a pub. There's a bathroom behind us a little bit. And then Electro Derby is... Oh yeah, cool, let's do it. Electro Derby is bumper cars. Yeah, Skywinder is closed today, it said. But
Derby, is that like the car?
it's bumper cars, yeah. Quantum Canyon Rapids.
So it seems like it's a legal obligation for every single theme park in the country to have one of these rides, and I'm honestly okay with it. I love these types of rides. This one has like a time machine element where you're essentially going back in time to the age of the dinosaurs, and it's really fun.
Whew, so we were able to get on, I think it's Quantum River Rapids, something like that. It's got a quantum in it and rapids in it. It had just opened, so we got on one of the first boats. A lot of fun, not very wet, lots of whipping you around, lots of oh yeah, she got a little wet, but lots of whipping you around really fast in some parts is really fun.
It was fun. All of
It was
the,
fun.
almost every single one of the animatronics moved.
Yeah, there's a bunch of dinosaurs because like it's supposed to be a time machine. You go back in time, dinosaur times, and so like almost all the dinosaurs move. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it was fun.
I questioned the T-Rex.
Yeah, I thought T-Rex has a little thumb.
He's only got two.
He's only got two. Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, it was fun. It was a good final ride for us today.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to the lockers, and then we're gonna go grab our swim stuff and go into the water park for probably the rest of the day. But I'll check in at the end of the water park. Wacky waving and filled water filling tube man.
The water park ended up being a lot of fun. We spent a couple of hours there, just had a blast. I think it's bigger than the one at Magic Mountain, honestly. When we were all done with that, we did a little bit more shopping. We have this tradition where we grab a magnet from whatever place we visited. And so we had to find a magnet that wasn't just like a generic Six Flags magnet. That was a little bit difficult. But once we did, we were happy and we decided let's just call it a day. Let's leave while we're in such a good mood before anything bad happens. And so we went back to the hotel.
So that's our trip to Six Flags America. Tomorrow we're going to a new theme park, so don't click off the video just yet just because the Six Flags part's over, okay? Just hang in there a little longer, even if there's mid-ad rolls or mid-roll ads, whatever. I can mess up all I want because this park only has 5 flags, so you know I can.
Hey, but they're what I suggested.
What's that?
They're just Six Flags and they're different colors.
Yeah, that's how they should have done it.
Except for the invisible one.
Yeah, the one that's missing.
It's like one is just.
Ah, got it. It's transparent flag.
That night, we drove to our next hotel in Pennsylvania, and the following morning, we headed over to Hershey Park. Right away, it becomes clear that this is a true theme park in just the most literal sense of the word. Everything is themed after Hershey, all the way up to the freaking street lights looking like Hershey's Kisses. A lot of thought went into the design of this place. They actually use the Hershey's characters as measurements of height within the park, like for almost every single ride. So when they have those signs that say you must be this tall to ride the ride, they'll usually have a picture of one of the characters. Like if it's a Hershey's Kisses, you'll know this is a ride that little kids can ride. And it's just a really fun way to incorporate the theme into something that's normally just very mundane. We only had one day and didn't want to run the risk of missing any rides, so we went ahead and got the little Flash Pass wristband thing. So today, we're at a brand new theme park for us, first time ever. We are at Hershey's Park. Yay! Even though it was expensive and the park wasn't really all that busy, I am glad we got the little Flash Pass wristband thingy, because there came a point later on the day where we got really exhausted and had to rest for a bit, and I'm not sure we would have gotten on everything if we didn't have that pass. The lockers also work on a wristband system, which is super helpful because it means you can move your reservation from one part of the park to the next and not have to pay for every single locker that you end up using. This is really helpful if you plan on going to the water park, for instance. Another tradition we have is getting a caricature done every anniversary. We've gotten some really funny ones in the past. At some point, I gotta hang them all up and show you guys. First impressions?
It's cool. I mean, we haven't done anything but well.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
We wanted to lay of the land, so we decided to get on the Hershey Kisses Tower, which is just a big observation tower ride, but it was neat. As you go up, you get a story about the town and the factory and how the theme park came to be, and they kind of give you an idea of where everything is and what to look for. It's a pretty educational and informative ride experience. Nothing to really write home about. The view is really, really nice, and it does help you kind of gain an idea of where everything is at the park, since it is literally at the highest point. Hershey's Triple Tower. We're going the Hershey Tower, which is the biggest of the three. This is one of those drop tires that shoots you up into the air and then drops you back down, and they bounce back and forth until it finally comes to a stop, and I'm here for it. It's a lot of fun. So far, we've done the Kissing Tower, which was cool. Got a good view of the park. And then we did the Hershey drop ride, basically. Hershey Tower.
Hershey Tower.
Yeah, Hershey Tower. That was a lot of fun. It's one of those ones that launches you up in the air and then you fall and then you bounce your way down. Similar to the fire department themed one at Silver Dollar City. Kind of like that one. A lot of fun though.
It's also similar to the one at Six Flags Texas.
Yeah, Superman and Six Flags Over Texas. Yeah, very similar. Next up, we're checking out Trailblazer, which from the pictures reminds me of Gold Rusher. We'll see how close we are to being right. Trailblazer. Turns out it's very, very similar to Gold Rusher, but I still recommend going on it because it was charming and a lot of fun. Not the same layout as Gold Rusher by any means, but definitely a very similar roller coaster.
Yeah.
Trains are almost identical. I think the lap bar system works a little bit differently. The track looks very, very similar. Just the layout's different because obviously they're built around the park that they're installed in. But I bet if I looked online, this is the exact same company and probably a very similar year. I bet, but I have not looked. So if I'm wrong, leave a really nasty comment down below. Next up is Jolly Rancher Remix. Now, before you get too excited, you should know it's just a boomerang with some retheming and a mist tunnel. But the retheming is a lot of fun. Basically, it kind of goes through this randomization where it chooses a Jolly Rancher flavor and then plays a song based on that Jolly Rancher flavor. I think the idea here is to give the ride sort of a Guardians of the Galaxy re-rideability, where you might want to ride so you get every single song or enough times where you get your favorite flavor. But the difference is Guardians of the Galaxy, the ride actually changes a little bit more. This ride is exactly the same every time. So Jolly Rancher Remix is I feel like it's a newer, updated version of a boomerang. With really cool theming and a thing where it changes colors and music randomly every ride. That was fun. Made me feel a little nauseous afterward though. And then we just went on Fahrenheit, which is like a drop coaster. That was a lot of fun, very smooth, very fast. Yeah, definitely worth riding. So the photo system here is really weird because they give you a QR code that takes you to their website, and then you need to do these 4-digit codes, but like your picture isn't necessarily on any of these, so it's weird. So we decided to skip Storm Runner because it just reminded us a lot of Accelerator and Knott's Berry Farm. And one time when my wife and I were chaperoning on behalf of the school we used to work at, we actually rode Accelerator and my wife got hurt on that ride. So we just decided to avoid it. For some reason, I felt like we had to ride the monorail. Like, this is our first time at the park. We're going to be able to see where all the cool stuff is. Like, this is just like a must ride, right? Total waste of our time. We waited so long to get on this monorail. Just a big chunk of our day was spent waiting in line. And then it was boring as heck. It takes you around a very small portion of the park. I cut out so much footage that I filmed because it was just boring to watch after the fact. This is probably the coolest shot right here. Would not recommend. Skip it. The monorail is a waste of time. We waited for like 4 trains, and then it only takes you around like one little section of the park that we had kind of already seen in order to get to the monorail. So it really wasn't worth it. And we waited so long because they were only filling the trains up like halfway. So it was kind of frustrating on top of that. Definitely not worth it. Reese's Cup Fusion. So this is a dark ride where you play as Hershey Quality Control, just assassinating imperfect candies, apparently. It's actually a really dark story when you actually think about it. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. The line was kind of hot and stuffy and took a really long time, and there was this asshole kid like carving his name into the walls and decorations, which was kind of annoying. That wasn't fun, but the ride was really fun. You should definitely check it out if you get a chance. It was great. So the Reese's Cup Fusion, something. Was fun. Very much like Justice League, Battle for Metropolis. Yeah. Very much. But it was fun. It was a good time. Sky Rush. Sky Rush is a wing coaster that's a lot of fun. As you can see, the lift hill just like flies you up over the top. It doesn't slow down. There's no anticipation. It's like you're going, and then you fall down this gigantic drop. It's just tons of fun. The entire ride was so much fun. It was definitely one of our favorites of the entire day. If you only get to ride one ride at Hershey Park, it's probably not this one, but it wouldn't be bad if this is the only ride you got to go on. It's pretty freaking good. Comet is another one of those old white wooden coasters, which I know I sometimes come off as like I don't like these rides. I always talk about how rough they are, but actually I am pretty fond of these old wooden coasters. There's something about them that's just a lot of fun. It feels a little more dangerous than your standard coaster. I just don't like it when they actually physically hurt you. I like the roughness, I like the sway, I like the way they feel. Like, for instance, if you miss the old Colossus from Six Flags Magic Mountain, if you wonder like, oh man, whatever happened to the old Colossus? Well, it's thriving at Hershey Park, and it's called Comet. And now before you get mad and leave a mean comment, I do know these are not the same roller coaster, but if you miss that vibe of the old Colossus, Comet is very, very, very close. It's a really similar feel, really similar roller coaster. It doesn't hurt nearly as much as other rides, Wild One, hurt. It actually was a lot of fun, and I do recommend riding this little wooden coaster here at Hershey Park. It was a blast. They have this section of complimentary lockers, so you get a free locker for 2 hours to ride these 3 rides that are all near each other. And really cute girls like to hang out there, apparently. Super Duper Looper. Super Duper Looper reminded me so much of Revolution at Six Flags Magic Mountain that I actually had to look at both videos side by side just to make sure they weren't the exact same layout. And they're not. They are very, very similar. They have a lot of the very same elements to them, including a drop that goes into a loop and then you go through the loop. and a tunnel toward the end, and the banking curves and all the stuff. Very, very similar. But Revolution seems like it's just a little bit longer of a ride. There's a little bit more drops and things going on, but they're both very fun. They're both very similar. If you can handle one, you can definitely handle the other. There's no reason why somebody who's been on Revolution should be scared of Super Duper Looper or vice versa. So definitely give it a try if you got nothing else going on. You already got that locker rental going for free, and you have time. Ride the ride. It's fun. And you're not going to wait very long in line either. So definitely do it. So Sky Rush. Very fun. Best ride so far?
Yes.
Yeah, probably, right? Yeah. I had the dangle
That
seat.
one, and then the other one.
The drop coaster, yeah. Yeah, that one was good. So I had the dangle seat. That was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that quite a bit. Then we went on Comet, which is one of those old 1920s wooden roller coasters. It's a lot smoother than the one we went on yesterday. But basically exactly what you expect. And then we went on Super Duper Looper, which is essentially Revolution. It's like, I don't know if it's identical, but it's really close. But yeah, fun, worth going on. Just exactly what we expected. Ah. This is kind of nice. One thing that's been a little weird and disappointing has been the snacks. We got our 2 snacks we normally get at theme parks, which is salted pretzel and churro, and both were horrible. Just real bad. Not giving up though, we'll try some other stuff before we leave. But it was very disappointing. Wildcats Revenge, an RMC conversion coaster. I gotta say, I'm a bit of a sucker for these RMC conversion coasters. I love them. I know some people get upset that like a historic ride has been basically removed from existence and turned into something more modern. I get that. But at the same time, like they maintain a lot of the charm and the sense of danger and ricketiness of the old wooden coasters while adding some really cool elements that those old coasters would have never been able to have. And some of those old coasters get to the point where it's like just interest in them is just gone and nobody wants to ride them anymore. And this breathes fresh life into those coasters that truly deserve to have an audience. So we just got out of the water park area. Before that, we rode Laffy Tracks? Laugh Track. And then we also rode Lightning Racers. Lightning Racers reminded me of one we rode at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. I don't remember what it's called, but I feel like it's exactly that same ride. And then, I could be wrong. And then the Laugh Tracks was really fun. We started out backwards and went down that first drop. It was really, really fun. But now, we're rounding out our day. Last coaster of the day is going to be this one here. Candymonium. Yay! Candymonium was the perfect ride to end our day with. This ride is so much fun. If you only get to ride one ride at Hershey Park, it should definitely be this one, Candymonium. It's one of those just gigantic coasters, like Fury 325, I think it's called, at Carowinds. I could be wrong about the name, but it's huge, and every single drop feels so ginormous, and every single climb and bank and every element of this ride just feels gigantic, and it's so much fun to just be flying through all this huge space at this really fast speed. It just, there's nothing like it in the world. It's one of those things that makes me love roller coasters unlike anything else I've experienced in my life. It's great. It makes me keep coming to these parks and riding roller coasters. There's rides like this that just like blow my mind with how huge they are and feel. So, Candymonium, new favorite ride in the park.
Yeah.
For sure. That's so much fun. That's such a good ride.
So smooth.
So smooth.
And the drops and then the
Yeah. And every time you go up, you feel like you're about to go flinging out of your seat.
Oh no, my whole butt all the way up.
It was fun. So we only have one more thing we have to do today, and then we're gonna head out and get some dinner, I think, right?
Yes, cool.
So every year we try to grab a new ornament for our Christmas tree that represents the trip that we took. And lately being like the last year or two, we've been getting magnets in places we have only a few dozen left. Yep, that's the one.
There's a whole bunch right there.
Besides that, only a few dozen left. On our way out of the park, we of course had to go through the gift shop, buy some candy. We also had to get a souvenir for our best friend's baby. We got her actually a souvenir doll of the Hershey Kisses. So that was really good. But yeah, we just had a great day at the park. But there was one thing left that we still had to do. Hershey's Chocolate World. Hershey's Chocolate World is basically a big Hershey-themed mall, essentially. Like, not only can you buy all the souvenirs and candy and stuff that you could buy at the theme park, but there's also like classes you can take. There's a section where you can make your own candy bar. There's a section where you can stuff your own peanut butter cup. There's a movie that you can watch that you have to have special tickets for. But the reason we came is for the tour of the chocolate factory. Hershey's Chocolate Tour. I've been told we have to do this. And I can't be sure about this because I didn't actually time it, but I feel like the walk down the area that is the line to the tour was longer than the actual tour itself. And we weren't really standing in a long line, like stopped or anything like that. The line kept moving the entire time. It's such a long walk to the actual cart. It was crazy. And I keep saying tour because that's what they call it, but as you can see here, it's just a ride. It's very much like a Disney dark ride attraction. There's lots of animatronics and there's songs, and it really is just a ride. You kind of go through what is sort of a facsimile, like a recreation of the chocolate factory, but obviously scaled way down. And most of it is like digital projections and things like that. There's not a whole lot of actual factory stuff happening on the tour. So I'm not gonna lie, some of the animatronics are really cute, like Cupcake here, adorable. But some of the other animatronics are a little more on the creepy scale.
My name is Alex. I'm a quality supervisor here at the Hershey Chocolate Factory.
Not her so much, not that. More along the lines of this. Dear God, that thing is horrifying. It's candy that wants to eat you. And again, they're not all that bad. I mean, this Hershey Kisses one doesn't look creepy. Not as creepy anyway. Now, I am cutting a lot out here. Part of that's because I don't want to spoil everything for you, but also this video is already way too long, and it would be even more way too long if I just showed you everything. How you feel about the Hershey tour, babe?
It was fun.
Yeah. Glad we saved it for last.
Yeah, it was nice and cooling. Informative is what I meant.
Oh, sure. Informative.
Hershey's goodness.
Come visit us again soon.
At the end, the creepy peanut butter cup threatens that if you come back again, he'll murder you, and then you get a piece of candy and you get off, and it was a lot of fun. And that was our whole trip to Hershey Park. So it's our last day of our trip. And we are at a place whose name I always get wrong because it has the word Echo in it twice. It's like Echo del Indian Caverns, I think. Let's check it out. The actual name is Echo del Indian Echo Caverns, and it's pretty cool. Outside, while you're waiting for your tour of the caverns to start, they have a petting zoo where you can check out all kinds of birds and goats and birds and more goats. Basically birds and a llama.
What? A llama?
So funny thing, at the start of the tour, they actually mentioned that the Native Americans nearby lived on the other side of the river or lake or whatever it is, and that they never found any evidence that they had actually ever entered or lived in the cave at all, which really makes me wonder about the name. So the tour starts down here by this little lake or stream or whatever. In order to get down here, we have to actually walk down some stairs, as you'll see over here. So, wheelchair access isn't exactly there. Once you're inside the cave, you can notice that there's a lot of electricity, there's lighting. This is definitely the kind of place that is set up for tourists. So there are things like stairs and obviously, like I said, lights. There's definitely dedicated paths that people are expected to walk down. We were asked by our tour guide not to record any video during sharing any of the stories that are told about the individual rooms. They do consider that their intellectual property, which I totally get. But they did encourage us to take as many videos and photos as we wanted of all the different caves features and the pathways and all the different pieces of natural beauty that are just in these caverns, and there is a lot to explore. For those of you who might be wondering, I did ask our tour guide if the caverns have been affected by the white snout or white nose fungus that's killing bats in cave systems all over the country. I was worried about that personally because I don't want to go into a system that has the white nose fungus and then bring that fungus with me to another cave system that was clean before. That's like a huge worry. You're supposed to wait 2 years before you go into another cave if you have been exposed to that fungus, because it is killing bats all over the country. So I was a little concerned about that, so I did ask, and just so you guys know, the cave tour guide there said that this system actually has no bats. The caverns have never had any bats, and so obviously it's kind of a non-issue here. So if you're a fan of spelunking, you should definitely check out the Echo Dell Echo Indian Caverns. I believe I said it right that time. It is a fun, easy tour. All the pathways are really, really easy. Like I said, there's some stairs, there's some narrow pathways, but nothing you gotta really squeeze through. The entire cave system has electric light built into it throughout. All of the stairs are very safe. There's a couple spots you gotta duck, like right here. It's nothing major. Any able-bodied person ought to be able to do this tour without even breaking a sweat. In fact, the cave is a cool like 68 degrees at all times, so you definitely won't even sweat. There's a lot of cool history about the people who have lived inside the cave, and people who have explored the cave, and the people who discovered the cave, and all that fun stuff. There's a lot of really cool features inside of these caverns, so I highly recommend you do it, especially if you're interested in doing something that is fun and easy and not very expensive, to be honest. We were able to come to this cavern and do this tour the morning of our flight back home from Washington, D.C. So we basically had to do this tour, and then we got on the road and drove to the airport, and we didn't have any problem at all getting to our flight on time. We were able to do this whole thing without any problem and pet the goats and the whole ball of wax. It was a lot of fun. Be sure to check it out if you're in the area and you like exploring cave systems, because it was a lot of fun.
Pretty.
So that was our trip to Six Flags America, Hershey Park, and just a greater Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Pennsylvania type area. We would definitely want to do a proper trip to Washington, D.C. at some point. Although driving through was a lot of fun and we did get to see a lot of cool stuff, it would be nice to actually be able to walk around and get really up and close with those things. There's also parts of Pennsylvania that we haven't been able to see that we'd want to go back to, and I'm sure we'll make our way back to that part of the country at some point in the future. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, keep being awesome.
America. Jesus.
Silver Dollar City's 40 degrees rule might be a safety regulation, and it could very well be based on some really solid science, but it makes me never want to come back during the winter ever again. We got so bored, I watched some of this. For my fourth taste of the city, I